Welcome back, everybody. What did we learn about skyscrapers?
Yeah, so this article covers the history of skyscrapers, and then the first one as a trailblazer was building in Chicago, and that was like 19th century. And then after years later, it's like a rise and fall of skyscrapers. So they demolished, and then they are rebuilt.
Trailblazer.
Trailblazer.
The same thing goes to other countries as well. So example could be in Korea, Hwangryongsa, right? I think that's the temple where it has. But after that one, another buildings, 10-story building after 30 years becomes 20, 30, 40. And then now we get to see Lotte World Tower in Jamsil in Seoul.
Sure.
Yeah.
The one you mentioned, it was during the Shilla dynasty, right?
Oh, yes.
1,000 years ago?
Yeah, almost 1,000 years ago, yeah.
Right?
It's a long time ago.
That was a 9-story kind of pagoda structure kind of thing, right?
Right, in a temple named Hwangryongsa.
Okay, so maybe 9 stories back then was quite impressive.
Quite impressive, yeah.
So imagine, I guess, Korea in 1884. How do you think people would have reacted to a 10-story building being constructed?
They couldn't imagine that could happen, right? Because I think Korea didn't have, probably that was Joseon time, didn't have that kind of technology.
Sure.
So back in 1884, I Googled it, it was some sort of like a coup was going around. So like politically very unstable, right?
Yeah, that jump forward in some of the construction and everything hadn't happened yet. Like, you go back 120 years, you start to get some of those more modern buildings. You can still see some of them downtown, the old Seoul Station and things.
Yeah, sure.
But they're not 10 stories.
Not 10-story.
So that's still pretty tall for that time. People probably would have been pretty amazed, I think.
Right, sure.
Yeah, at that time.
What do you think about the most unattractive building in Seoul? Yeah.
The most unattractive.
Yeah.
This is.
I don't know. I think everything's pretty okay, not like unattractive.
I don't want to say it's unattractive, but I feel like the Lotte Tower is just very uninspired. Like, I feel like they could have done so much more with it. Like if you look at in Dubai,
Oh, yes.
they have the cool, they've already built those years before Lotte Tower. Why didn't they do something like that? So it seems very uninspired to me. But then I remember, it's Lotte. Lotte is a very uninspired company in general. So maybe it fits them pretty well.
Okay.
Like, when did they have a good idea in the past 20 years? They're kind of old school, old fashioned. So maybe it fits.
Yeah, I mean, probably because I heard that the founder at the time, when he was alive, his aim for this building was to just the tallest building in Korea. So
Yeah.
I think it served the purpose for him.
Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time.